Hi everybody, today we're going to make some beef pemmican bars. I'm Anita from Ketogenic Woman. Welcome to my channel. This is where I show you how I've lost 145 pounds following an animal-based ketogenic way of eating. Looks a lot like carnivore to me. Okay, we're making pemmican bars today. Pemmican bars have been around for centuries and they are traditionally made with dried meats, fat from the meat, dried berries, and maybe some other seasonings or honey, that sort of thing. There's all kinds of different ways that you can make them, but the main ingredient is the beef and or any other ruminant and the tallow. I'm going to be adding salt to mine. I wanted to explain how this recipe has come about today, or this whole video. So I guess about a week or two ago, there was a short that we put out as part of the channel, and I was talking about carnivore bars and how I include them in my pantry. They're one of my must-have pantry items. Got quite a bit of hate on that video. I don't think you guys really hate me. I think what people hated was the price of these. And I agree, they're super expensive, but there are a couple of reasons that they're so expensive. It's grass-fed, grass-finished beef. I heard the owner say on a video that unopened, these will last 40 years. I won't be around in 40 years probably, so I'm not even going to try to test that. But I took them with me on my trip and I found it very useful. I do find them useful. They are a full meal replacement, very clean. They are expensive. I 100% agree with you. And so today we'll make some, and you might get a feel for why they're so expensive, because it is quite a process. So to make your own, we're going to use the same ingredients, which is beef, tallow, and salt. What I'm going to do today is I have decided I'm going to make them with ground beef. I am going to use this tallow, which I'm going to render down myself. So let me just talk about tallow options. You can buy it. You can buy a jar of pre-made tallow. This one is from Carnivore Crisp. And, you know, I buy this on a regular basis. I believe it costs about $20 US. And you get 9 ounces. So this is kind of a pricey way to go. You can also get it from Amazon, and not this particular one, but you can get other tallow. This one is also grass-fed, so it's a good option, a good clean option. This is from the store. It's from my local grocery store. It's about a pound of beef suet. It's in their freezer section. I am going to render this down today in a pot, you know, just a regular pot. Cook it slow while all the tallow renders out, and what will be left is some little beef crisps that I'll scoop out. But it's perfect for making these pemmican bars. The third way you can get tallow, and I actually have a bag of brisket trimmings that I cut off from my last brisket in the downstairs freezer, and I had kind of forgotten about it. But that would be another thing that you could do, is just your own beef fat trimmings. Again, you can render them down in a pot. A slow cooker would also work. Just throw everything in the slow cooker. All you know, this whole thing could go in the slow cooker. A bag of beef fat trimmings could go in the slow cooker. Let it cook all day. Drain everything out, and you have the tallow that we need. Okay, so the meat options are any leftovers. Like, I like to use leftovers. Like, say you had a roast, you could use your leftover roast, slice it super thin, and put it in the dehydrator. So, but I thought, and I saw this on Nia's Way, so I'm going to link Nia's Way down below. Ground beef is usually quite cheap. This one wasn't, because I didn't catch a sale. I just ran to the store to buy this for this video. It is $8 for a 1 pound package of extra lean ground beef. I do like to use the lean because it's less mess in the dehydrator. Nia uses her round plastic Nesco dehydrator, so that is certainly an option. You can use one like I have over here, the Kasori, if you have that. You can use your oven. You can just put this on trays in the oven and put it on a low setting and just let it go until it's dry and crispy. The only other thing I'm going to add is some salt, and this is Redmond salt. This is my preferred salt. I will use that. I'm not sure how much yet. Another option is to add honey if you're making this for, say, children, or if you're making it for people in your family who, you know, might want to have just a little more body to it. You can even just use a very tiny bit. So even the Carnivore bar here, they have a couple of options that have honey added. They have honey salted and honey barbecue. I've tried them both. So the ingredient is grass-finished beef, grass-finished tallow, raw honey, seasoning mix. I guess that's for the barbecue flavor. Redmond real salt. They use pluck seasoning mix, which is a clean seasoning. This one just has grass-finished beef, grass-finished tallow, raw honey, Redmond real salt. So neither of these to me tasted like, I didn't bite into them and go, oh, that's sweet. That tastes like a candy bar. It absolutely doesn't. You really have to search in your mind for that hint of sweetness to even detect that there's honey in here. And in fact, if they hadn't had honey on the label, I don't think I would have known. You know, I would have suspected that there was honey in it. So I feel pretty safe. You know, I've eaten those. There's been no triggering of any kind. So, you know, I'm pretty comfortable with the odd recipe here and there having a tablespoon of honey in it. I'm just not even bothered by that. To me, it is probably better than some of the other sweeteners that are out there. It's a natural thing. So, you know, you do you though. Don't have any, or you could even use a sweetener like allulose or whatever it is that you have on hand. So just going to leave that part up to you and whatever your program is. You can add some dried fruits to this and all that, like I mentioned before. So I will, because my grandchildren are coming, I am going to take half the batch and add a little bit of honey. It's a gamble. I don't know if they'll even touch it or go near it, but who knows? One can always hope, right? So let's get started. I am going to roll out this ground beef on here and try to make it as thin as possible. The thinner I can make it, the faster it will dehydrate in my dehydrator. I will give you a cost breakdown later because I usually get ground beef for about $3.99 a pound. So I'll give you a cost breakout as to what I think it could be at its cheapest and what I actually spent today, you know, just running to the store. This was, I think, $5. And what a Carnivore bar costs. I know it's expensive. Just going to take this. I have wax paper here, so hopefully it won't stick to it. That looks pretty good. So then I'm going to take my sheet here. I might have to trim a bit off and then go with 2 sheets. I may end up with 3 sheets here. I'll have to redo that one. But like I said, I want to have this as flat as I possibly can. Okay, so that's the idea there. Get it nice and flat. I'm going to put a little bit of my Redmonds on, just a light. Can always add more later. Okay, I'm gonna get this one started, and then I'll come back and do the rest of the trays so that this gets going. Okay, so this dehydrator is pretty easy to use. So temperature, I'm gonna put it at 165, that's the highest temperature. I'm gonna go for 8 hours. I think it'll take about 8 hours, but of course I will keep checking it. Yes, I have the tray upside down, but I'm gonna go with it. And you know, that's just the way it is. The other ones, I'll try to get them the right way. Now don't worry about getting too much salt on it, because as it dehydrates and shrinks, that salt that is on there does concentrate down. So it's better to put less salt than more and adjust it later. Okay, our third tray is going in, and this will take a few hours. I don't know if you know, but videos like this take a lot of time, effort, and expense to produce. And thankfully, there are sponsors out there like Element, who today is the sponsor of today's video. Element is a super tasty electrolyte drink that comes in many different flavors. It also comes in a raw, unflavored, for those of you who cannot do stevia extract, which is what the flavored ones contain. Element has a science-backed formula of 1,000 milligrams sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. I have been using Element successfully, about a pack a day, for 2 years now, just to keep my nighttime leg cramps at bay, stay hydrated, and I just feel like it provides some very balanced minerals to me, that because I don't take any supplements of any kind, this is really all I take. I get everything else from meat. But right now, Element is offering to my viewers this 8 flavor sample pack. It is free with the purchase of any drink mix from their website, any of these drink mixes. And you can get yours by using my link. It will be on the screen. It is down below. This will be added to your cart automatically. So if you use my link to visit drinkelement.com/KETOGENICWOMAN, that's drinkLMNT.com//KETOGENICWOMAN. I appreciate the support of both my videos and my sponsor, Element. Thank you so much for sponsoring today's video. Okay, I am ready to start the tallow. I'm going to put this in the pot. First, I want to show you where we're at with the meat. Well, we have 3.5 hours left approximately, and it's actually going quite well. I'll just bring it over here to show. So there it is. Now, it's still bendable. So you don't want that. It's not quite ready yet. If you can bend it, you want it to snap off. Like, it needs to be dry and crispy. So probably a couple more hours and this will be good to go. Okay, so I want this to simmer for a couple of hours. I'm gonna have it on low. So I will start that now. Just gonna cut this in half, show you what it looks like inside, and squeeze it into the pot here. I'm hoping to get 1 cup volume out of this, 1 cup of rendered tallow, which I should be able to get. That will give me, if my calculations in my head are correct, it's going to give me about a 70-30, 70% calories from fat, 30% calories from protein on these Pemmican bars, but I will check all those calculations once I know. Oops. So I've got it on medium right now just to melt it down, but then I'm going to turn it down right to low and just let it simmer for quite a while. Then I'll strain it. I'm gonna get some cheesecloth. You could use a coffee strainer. Cheesecloth really is the best way to go So I know I have some around here somewhere, but a coffee strainer will work in the pinch. There is going to be like pieces of meat and gristle and things like that. We want to get that out of there. And then we want what's left to simmer until all the moisture. So I have not added any water. You shouldn't add water because we don't want to get any moisture. That is going to affect the shelf life of the pemmican bars. It's fine if you are going to keep them in the fridge or the freezer and you think you'll use them up fairly quickly. Then it's not a problem. But if you want them to be in your pantry, to be shelf stable, you need to make sure that there's no moisture in here because that will be where the bacteria could grow. I think the last time I made tallow out of one of these chunks from the store, I'm pretty sure I got two small jars out of it. They were like over a cup each, so I don't think I'll have trouble getting what I need out of this today. I'm just breaking it apart a bit with a fork. Okay, so I'm going to just keep this on low and let it simmer. Just keep coming back and checking on it. I'll show you what it looks like later, like what it should look like when it's done. You don't want to have this too high and then walk away. You don't want it to be sputtering and having any of it burn. Okay, so that's it for this segment. We'll come back and when we have the crispy bits in there and this is ready, and what we do to put it all together at the end. Okay, so this is looking good to me. I usually let it go until the brown stuff is all brown, and it is. You don't want to go too far because you don't want this to get any kind of a burnt smell or odor to it. So I am now just going to pour it off. I'll show you what I've got here. I've got a big measuring cup and I have a strainer that I've lined with cheesecloth. I think cheesecloth is the best way to go in a fine strainer because it's going to get, you know, pretty much all these particles out to go with. I have done it before with a coffee filter. That has its issues, but it works too. Just be careful because this stuff is hot. Okay, got some good tallow down there. I don't know if you can see, we have definitely more than what I need. I will lift this up in just a second. I'm actually going to save all this stuff. It's almost like, you know, pieces of beef trimmings. I'm probably going to throw it in the air fryer later. It'll make something tasty and crispy, but that's what we have left. This is what we were trying to get out by boiling this. That's what we have left. I'll throw some salt on that, throw it in the air fryer, and it'll be crunchy bits. What we're really after, though, of course, is this. I don't think that there should be any moisture in here, but I'm going to pour it back in. And I'm just going to bring it to a simmer and just see how it does. If there's all kinds of bubbles and stuff at the top, it means it still has moisture in it. I don't think it will. I think if I bring it up to a simmer and it'll be smooth, like no air bubbles and things, then we know we've got just pure tallow there, no moisture, and hopefully very soon the other meat in the dehydrator, hopefully that will be crispy soon, and then we can assemble it all. I'll see you in the next segment. Okay, so we have our dried sheets of ground beef. So you're looking for it to be like that. You can just break it like a cracker. You don't want it to be all flexible and bendy. It's got to be like a cracker. Okay, so now the next step in the process is we are going to turn this into powder, basically, like real fine crumbs. Mix it with the tallow and the salt. and then put it into these two. I'm making a half a batch in here and a half a batch that includes a tablespoon of honey in here. And then it goes in the fridge for a couple of hours to solidify. So let's get started on the crumbling it up. I'm just using a little mini food processor. I kind of wish it was bigger right now, but it's not. I suppose you could use a blender. But anyways, I'll probably have to do this in a couple of batches. Just trying to break it up into smaller pieces. So I don't know if I mentioned, but I weighed this. The 2 pounds of ground beef turned into about 10 ounces of the sheets. And so I will use that information for doing my macros later, which I'll share with you. Okay, I'm gonna get a fresh bowl to put those in. I think the dogs want some. Well, hopefully these are small enough. I'm okay with there being, you know, some chunky pieces in, so I guess we'll see. Both myself and the dogs have actually been sampling this all afternoon. They are pretty yummy just by themselves like this. So we have a few little chunks. I'm kind of thinking it could be a little finer, but they're not that many. And ooh, my tallow is starting to, it's been sitting here too long. I have 10 ounces of the crumbled ground beef here and 1 cup of rendered tallow. I'm going to put that in. So we're just going to make sure it's all worked in. And then I'm going to press them into those two. Well, I'm going to kind of try to split it in half at this point because I still want to add a tablespoon of honey to half of it. So I'm going to kind of guesstimate here. Oh, okay. I meant to taste it to see what the salt situation was. No, I think it's fine. Okay, so this is the just ground beef, tallow, and salt version. This is the honey. So this is half a tablespoon. I'm going to add the whole thing. Now this will add 2 carbs per bar because I'm making 8 bars out of this half here for whoever eats that. Could end up, my grandchildren don't care if they get carbs, but if they don't touch this, it'll be my son, and he'll probably like it, and he is trying to watch his carbs, and then if I try some, I'm okay with 2 carbs. Let's mix that in. Well, you know, if it was just me, like if I was eating this, like that, this tastes a little sweet to me now. I think I would have maybe even just used 1 teaspoon of honey for this amount. So should the grandchildren be brave enough to touch it, they will be probably happy with how sweet this one is. All right, I'm going to put these in the fridge now. Then we will come back, taste test them. I'll give you the cost per bar and also the macros. So we'll see you in the next and final segment. Okay, so I am now removing these bars from the glass, and I regret using these glass pans. They're too deep and it's really difficult to get the bars out, and I've been breaking them getting them out. So I recommend using a more shallow pan or a silicone pan or something. So what I'm going to have to do is kind of reform these. I'm going to take them out of here, reform them, freeze them. But that part is not important. You know, just learn from my mistake. Use a more flexible pan or a shallower pan, like just a cookie sheet or something, and cut them up. Okay, let's talk about the macros of these. So I changed direction when I was working out the macros because I realized in order to compare apples to apples that I needed to, you know, I needed the bar to be like the Carnivore bar. The Carnivore bar is 420 calories, 20 grams of protein, and 35 grams of fat. This is a full meal replacement. So instead of going 16 bars, I had to go 8 bars to also make these full meal replacements. And so these bars are 396 calories, 24 grams of protein, so just a little bit higher in protein than the Carnivore bar, and 34 grams of fat, so almost the same grams of fat as the Carnivore bar. The bars turned out to be 76% of calories from fat and 27% calories from protein. So 76, 27, or 24, I'm sorry. I can't add in my head. So this size is about equivalent to the Carnivore bar then. So, and I guess the cost then, I've had to change that as well because I, you know, was originally planning for 16 bars. The cost of the way that I made them today is $2.74 each. Now, if I was to get the ground beef on sale, and if I had used my fat trimmings from my freezer downstairs, which are basically free, it would have been just under $1 a bar. So that's pretty cheap. But $2.74 is also cheap. The Carnivore bars they work out, if you use my discount link, they work out to $14.25 a bar. The advantage of the Carnivore bars is that I could take them on the plane. You can't take these on an airplane because they're you know, like you can't package them professionally. These in a package I was able to take on 6 flights, you know, in my last trip, because I was doing 3 connecting flights, you know, there and back. And, you know, it was fine taking Carnivore bars with me, but I don't think I'd be able to take those. You'd have to conceal them in your bag or whatever. You know, coming across the border is always fun too. So I prefer to take prepackaged foods rather than homemade foods, you know, just in case. But for hiking or going, you know, somewhere like that, a day trip or something, these are great. And $2.74 a bar instead of $14.25 is indeed a savings. However, the other drawback is that you have to have all the tools. You have to have, or you should have, you know, the dehydrator, the food chopper, you know, all of the things that I use to make that. Not everybody has that. Some people have very small kitchens. But if you can do it and you have the time, that's the other thing I don't have a lot of, chances are I'm going to freeze these. We'll eat them and enjoy them when my grandkids come. But it'll probably be a long time before I make them again because, you know, this was kind of an all-day effort from starting the ground beef in the dehydrator very early this morning to then rendering the tallow to then, you know, putting it all together, putting it in the fridge. That's kind of an involved process. But if you have the time for that, you know, you're at home or whatever, that's fantastic. So now you know a way to make your own bars, your own Pemmican bars, basically. So 2 other things I want to mention. Well, I'm going to taste these too. So that's one thing. The other thing is that I have a dessert that I'm going to make out of this, so I have to save some for that. It's called tallow pudding, and I've made it using the Carnivore bars. Turned out great, so I'm now going to make it using these, and we'll see how that turns out. So that's going to be in a video probably next week, or I'll film it next week, and then it'll be, you know, upcoming within the next couple weeks. Let's just say that. So watch for that, and let's do a taste test. Okay. So this piece is just the salted, so it's tallow, ground beef, and salt. I love it. I think it has more flavor than the Carnivore bars. Sorry, Carnivore bar people. I don't know. I really can taste. I like the beefy flavor of it. That little hint of Redmond salt. So, you know, I would definitely prefer this to, you know, to eat this. This tastes less manufactured, I guess, is the word. It's got a punch of beefy flavor. Let's try the honey one. Will my grandchildren like this? That's going to be the question. I like it a lot. I think my son is going to like it. And maybe his older boys, they might like it.
My granddaughter, not a chance. Not a chance.
But that's okay. That's okay. You know, it will be enjoyed, and it'll be good in that dessert too. Maybe I'll make them some of that. see if they recognize anything in it. So I definitely think it's a win to make your own bars and experiment with different meats, save some money, but you know, maybe you just don't take them on a plane. The other thing is that these in the package, I was told they would last 40 years. You know, that seems ambitious. These, I don't think they would. I've heard that properly made pemmican bars should last 20 years. I don't know what that means. So I feel like I'm gonna keep mine in the freezer until the day I use them. I always think that's best, and you know, if you know the secrets of how you make these last for 20 years, I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. But I think one of the secrets is what I did today. Don't use any, you know, make sure all the moisture is out. So I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something. Please go check out Nia's Way, her channel. I'll link that below because that's where I learned how to do the ground beef in a sheet, and I like that very much. So thanks, Nia, for that. And we'll see you guys next time on the next video. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so let's get started. Actually, scratch that sentence.
Let me get my coffee.
What?
I'm done with my coffee.
Okay.
Action.
You sure?
Yeah.
You're still walking around. You're going to walk in front of the... Go ahead, walk wherever you need. Now, is it really action? Is it? Okay. Okay, we're making pemmican bars today. So, actually, I should have had those with me here. Okay, I'm going to summarize right now.